everybody. Today I'm going to show you guys how to change brake calipers on a 2006 Ford F-250. This will work on years from 1999 to 2010. You want to get you some nitrile gloves, latex gloves to work in. That way you don't have to worry about cleaning your hands. You can just pull these off, do what you got to do, put another pair on. To get started, you want to spray everything down with some brake cleaner. Brake cleaner evaporates pretty quick. I'm trying to clean some of the mess off of it. Got that cardboard down there to catch the brake cleaner. You want to use brake cleaner before and after. Before to get the brake dust off of it, and then after you want to make sure you don't have any grease or anything on the disc, the rotor. If you have any oil or grease on the rotor, it's going to cause the brake to hang up. But the first thing you want to do is you want to take this brake line loose. They call this the flow bolt. Take this flow bolt loose. It's going to be a 9/16. You can use a wrench, or you can use a ratchet. Probably going to have some brake fluid come out of this, and that's the reason why you got to bleed it after you're done changing the caliper, because the brake fluid comes out, and you get air in the line. You don't want to get brake fluid on paint or oil plastic. It's going to have a little brake fluid come out of it. You want to put a little bucket underneath the brake line to catch the brake fluid waste. I put a little bucket underneath there. You take out this flow screw, there's going to be a copper washer on both sides. And there's the flow bolt. The fluid flows through the bolt. It's got a hole on it, hole in the side of it. Comes off. There's one of the copper washers. One goes on each side. Two caliper bolts right here. We're going to take them out. That's a 5/8. I got a 5/8 socket. You can put force down on it, or you can just hold a ratchet in one hand and just smack it a couple times. Comes right loose. The brake caliper won't come right off. You can use a C-clamp. I'm going to do this right now to see if I can squeeze it in. See if I can get this squeezed in here a little bit. There it is. Alright, looks like it just needed a little persuasion. This is a 21mm bolt. 166 foot-pounds of torque on it. And we may have to get the breaker bar to get this off. Alright, I'm going to put a breaker bar on it. This is your breaker bar. Give you some leverage. Damn it, some bitches on there. Now we should be able to get it off. Now I could have got this off with my impact. I just want to show you guys how to do this for somebody that don't have an impact. You want to make sure you have an oil drain fan here to catch your brake fluid so it's not running out on the ground. Now for video purposes, I took the caliper off and then the bracket. So here's the caliper with the anchor plate mounted to it, and that's what I was saying. You don't have to take the caliper off the old anchor plate. The whole This whole new caliper for this truck comes with the whole anchor plate. So you could just take those 21mm bolts out, pull the whole thing out with the brakes and everything in it, unless you're not replacing the brakes. But for video purposes, I'm shooting another video on how to replace brakes on this truck. I took it apart in pieces, but if you're changing the calipers, take those 2 bolts out, pull the whole thing out, and then you can just put the whole shebang here. The anchor plate, the caliper, whole 9 yards. Like this. Here's a little tip. I'm replacing both calipers, and the box didn't say left hand, right hand, so you want to make sure that it goes back on the same way it came off. Bleeder screw's got to be at the top. Flow bolt for the brake line's got to be at the top. You can flip these. You can put this one on that side and flip it over, and take the right side and put on the driver's side, left side here, and flip it over, and they'll both be on the bottom, and you'll never get the air out of it. You'll have a pedal when you press it, it travels fast down not all the way to the floor. It'll still brake, but it won't be right, because the fluid comes in the top, fills the piston here, and if it's down on the bottom, you're gonna have fluid and you're not gonna get all the air out. The air is gonna set up here at the top, so it needs to be at the top, so when the fluid comes in, it fills it up. The whole piston here, it's a dual piston caliper, and then the air is up here, and then the fluid will push the air out of the top. If it's down here, it can't push the air out. The air will sit at the top, and fluid will come out of the bottom. So now then, we want to take our torque wrench, these anchor bolts back here that's attached to the spindle here that attaches to the caliper. It's 166 foot-pounds on these bolts, or 225 Newton meters. Here's our torque wrench. My torque wrench starts at 10. I'll put the 0 on 10 there. This are 1 foot per pound increments here. There's 10 of them. Everything's in 10 foot-pound increments for the settings. So mine only goes to 150, which is right there. And after I do that, I'm going to use a breaker bar and just give it a little extra turn. So we're at 166 foot-pounds. I'm going to go to 150, 21mm socket. And I'm trying to do this and stay out of y'all's way where you can see here. That's 150. And I used a 1/2 inch to 3/8 adapter. My socket's 3/8. My breaker bar and torque wrench is 1/2 inch here. So we got 1/2 inch on this end, 3/8 on this end. Big hole, small hole. So like I told you guys, I'm gonna give it an extra little bit. Since it's 166 foot-pounds, my torque wrench only goes to 150. And I barely turn that. That's a lot of torque. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is put our flow bolt and brake line back on here. We're gonna wipe our little brake line here. And here's our flow bolt. Comes with a new one. It was in it when I pulled it out of the box, but I pulled the bolt off. So you're gonna have a new copper washer. Goes on the outside. You're gonna have a new one goes towards the inside. I'm going to stick this back up here. And then you got the long side of the brake line. You can kind of see how it's oriented, how it bends around everything. Like I said, it's at maximum rotation here. Steering wheel turned all the way to the right as far as it can go. So I got this opened up where you guys can see it. Normally if you put this on here, you, like I said, you'd be sitting here working like up in here, but I'd be covering everything up. And it's a little awkward like this, but I'm doing it so you guys can see what's going on. Now this flow bolt for the brake line, 35 foot-pounds. We're going to take our torque wrench here. It's all the way maxed out at 150. I like starting from, mine starts at 10 foot-pounds. I like getting it to where it's right on 10. I always back it off so I know where I'm at. So we're going to go from 10. We're going to go 10 on the turn, 10 foot-pound increments, and that's 20. We're going to go 10 more back to 0. That's 30. We're going to go to 5. And then we're going to use our 1/2 inch to 3/8 adapter, and this flow bolt is a 9/16. So we're going to torque it down. I kind of like the roots, kind of hold that where it's nice and flush. We already tightened it up a little, so we're good there. So we're going to go 35 foot-pounds. And you don't want to go fast when you're using a torque wrench because you'll pass it. Just go easy until you get it, the breakaway. When it snaps like that, it's very subtle because we're at low torque, and but if you were all the way down to 10, you'd miss it if you cranked on it. So you got to kind of take it easy, and you're looking for just a little bit of a breakaway. And this is not the most expensive torque wrench. You can get a Snap-on, Matco. I'm sure there's better ones out there that's a little more expensive. They may go more than 150, but I don't use it too much. Like I said, if I'm taking a bolt off and I can't twist it real hard, I'll kind of pop it with my hand and I can kind of feel how hard I gotta pop it. When I tighten it back up, I'll get it back to where I feel like as far as I can get it, and then I'll pop it back tight and tighten it back up the same way I take it off. So, but to be technical and for the video, you guys that don't have the feel of it, you use the torque wrench. So now we're going to put our we're going to take our caliper off. We got these torqued down, so you don't want to put the brake line on before you put these anchor plate bolts in, because the brake line covers it where you can't put the socket on it. So you want to put these bolts in, torque them all the way down, put your brake line on so you're not losing a lot of brake fluid. The old bolts were 5/8. The new ones are 17 millimeter, so they went metric on us. I guess save a little money. And I got all these parts at AutoZone. I'll put links in the description for the brake with the brake bracket. They're universal. They can be flipped, so you want to make sure that whatever side you're doing, they're on the top, the bleeder screw and the brake line. You don't want it on the bottom. You can't get the air out. That's what I was talking about. Smacking it with my hand. We're going to take these loose. Like I said, this is kind of awkward where I'm sitting at here, but I'm trying to stay out of the way where you guys can see what I'm doing here. So the whole assembly comes put together, and you can just slap it up there and put those anchor plate bolts in. Then take the caliper off, put your brakes back in it. If you're using old brakes, I would recommend, if you're going to change one of these calipers, that you do both sides. And if you're going to do it, I'd go ahead and put new brakes on it. If you're going to go this far, give it a whole rebuild. So I like to set it up top here. kind of out of the way. You want to be careful that you don't damage these pistons here. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to put a little caliper grease in here. Kind of make sure those spring clips slide real good. You don't have to use that if you don't want to. So now we're going to put our brakes back in. And the brakes can go either way. You can go like this, or you can go like that. Doesn't matter what side you're on. You just want to make sure that these clips are in here right. You look at these clips, you look at the old brake pad when you take it out, but it's got a little spring right here, and it's got a little long spot right here, so you want to make sure that the long spot is away from the little offset here where it can clear it. So you want to make sure you put it in there and let off the brake spring back. Now then, we got that. Make our brake caliper here, stick him back on there like that. I like to squeeze those brakes with one hand, grab this. This is a little heavy. These retainer bolts here, the caliper go in, are kind of keyed. So you can orient those, make sure everything clears here. Put our caliper bolts back in. Stay out of the way of the camera here. Sometimes you gotta hold this retaining bolt here. All right, now we're gonna torque down our caliper bolts here. They need to be at 56 foot-pounds or 76 Newton meters. So I'm gonna start back down. My torque wrench starts at 10. So back to 0, there's 20. Back to 0, there's 30. Back to 0, there's 40. Back to 0, there's 50. And we're looking for 56 foot-pounds. 2, 4, or 6. Now if I kept going back to 0, that would have been 60. So I'm at 56. Tighten down this set screw here. This is a 17 millimeter. There's 56 foot-pounds. 56 foot-pounds. Said you want to do that slowly until that torque wrench breaks away like that. You know, that's where you're at. That's the technical way of doing it. And we're gonna wipe this down real good. Brakes are in there. I put my finger in there, kind of check them out there. You want to make sure you fill your brake fluid reservoir. Keep it full while you're bleeding the brakes. So I'm going to put a little more in it. I'm going to go a little further than full since we're going to be bleeding them. We know we're going to lose a little bit. And I'm just going to stick the cap back on it loose. Alright, after replacing the caliper, we got to bleed the air out of the brake line going to the caliper. Since we took it loose, so you want to get like a little cup of any sort in a clear tubing. I believe this is a 1/4 inch inside diameter on this tubing here. You want to get one to go over that so you're not pushing fluid out on the ground. We're going to put a little bit of brake fluid in this cup so it doesn't try to suck air back up in it where it's sitting down in fluid. And for whatever reason, this caliper is a 10 millimeter for the bleeder screw. The other side's a 3/8. So it's kind of weird, but it is what it is. So you need to get you a helper. They're going to be in the truck. You don't want it started. You want the truck off, and you're going to have the person pump the brakes 3 times, hold their foot on it. As they're holding their foot on it, you're going to loosen this screw until solid fluid comes out and there's no more air. Once they pump it and you loosen this, you're going to let the air come out. You're going to tighten it back down, and they're going to leave their foot on it until you tighten it back down, because if they let it off, it'll pull air back in it. So tighten it back down, and then you tell them to pump it again. So I got my wife pumping the brake pedal here. We're gonna go ahead and bleed this caliper out. Got my little tube in here, got my clear cup. Go ahead and pump it 3 times, babe. Hold it. You good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna loosen it up. It's tight. And it had a lot of air in it. Once the air quits coming out, it'll kind of slow down. You just tighten it a little bit. Go ahead and pump it again. Hold it. 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 Looks like we're almost there, and you want to make sure that your brake fluid reservoir doesn't run dry. Ours looks pretty good. Let all this fluid out in this oil drain bin here, this oil drain bin. Just need enough to where the tubing's down in it, but I don't want it to overflow. Did you pump it?
Yeah. Oh, right now?
Yeah, go ahead and pump it.
Okay. Okay.
Hold it. You always want to make sure you coordinate with the person helping you, because you don't want to suck air back in it. Pump it. Hold it. And it looks like we got, I'm going to do it one more time to be safe, because it seems like it's got a lot of air in it. Pump it. Hold it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And you're looking up here towards the top. I'm not really worried about the bottom, but I'm looking up here to make sure I got solid fluid coming out. And that's how you bleed your caliper out. And after that, you want to top off your reservoir to the max fill line. And then I'm going to take some brake cleaner and spray around it, clean it up real good, put my rubber boots back on it, and that's it. I'm going to spray everything down real good. Brake cleaner evaporates pretty quick. Spray my rotor down. You get any kind of grease on your rotors or your brake pads, it'll cause your brakes to stick, so you want to look out for that. That's it. I just wanted to let y'all know I'm going to put links in the description for the parts at AutoZone and some of the tools. And please like, subscribe, and share. Hope y'all have a good one. Thanks for watching.